I would like to welcome you all to tonight's training on virtual programs. I am Cindy Ellenberg, the 33rd District PTA President. Also joining me from 33rd District to monitor questions is Anita Averick, the VP of Legislation, Raymer Flynn, the VP of Programs, and Melanie Lucas, VP of Support Services. We are all here to monitor questions, and there will be some breaks for questions as well as time afterwards. This session is in the webinar format, which is new for us at 33rd. So just to explain, as attendees, you are not on camera and you are muted. So you're in listen mode only. The chat feature that we normally do our questions is disabled, and you can put your questions into the Q&A area at the bottom. That has been enabled for questions. Feel free to type them as they come to you, and then we'll keep track and try to get as many answered as possible. We have, before I begin, there's a quick poll that we'd like to have you answered, and it's basically, how did you learn about this program workshop? So if you can please check off how you found the workshop and how you heard about it. There we go. Can you all see it? I can't tell what's up. Okay, good.
Yep.
This is also exciting, our very first webinar. We're getting there. You guys are really good, because it's only been a minute and you're almost all voting. Give it a few more seconds, and then I will introduce our speaker tonight. Okay, I'm going to close the poll. I will share the results. The majority got the flyer from their council PTA president. That's great news. I thank you all for answering our poll. Let me get rid of it. And let you know that I have attended this training a couple of times over the last year, and I am really so excited to finally be able to bring it to 33rd District PTA. I am very happy to introduce tonight's presenter, Abby Feldman. Abby is a friend from PTA who lives in Sonoma County. She's a member of the Education Commission and Reflections Committee for California State PTA. She has 5 school-age children who are all distance learning, so she's right in the thick of things, dealing with the same stuff you are all experiencing. So I'd like to welcome Abby Feldman to 33rd District.
Hello, thank you so much, Cindy. I'm so excited to be with the 33rd District today. My only disappointment is that I'm not there in person, and this is all being done on Zoom. I wish I was with you guys in person. So thank you so much for having me. I'm going to go ahead and get jumping straight in. I have 5 children, like Cindy warned you all, and they are all just on the other side of this door. So if you see me glaring that way, it's because they got loud. I'm going to try and stay focused, but you all know how this goes. I'm going to share my screen, I believe. Can I share my screen?
I hope so.
It's not. It won't let me share my screen.
All panelists can
Cindy, do you
share.
know what I'm doing wrong?
No.
There we go. It's going now.
Oh, good.
Can you
Just a
see?
time delay. Yes.
All right, perfect. So programs, easy, fun, and free. Like Cindy warned you about too, I'm on the reflections committee. Last term, I was on the membership services commission, and I was part of the team that brought this presentation together for convention. And so a lot of the stuff that we talk about tonight is actually still good information, even through our distance learning and distance community period in school. So we're going to go through this. At the end, I have some distance learning time period specific ideas for you, but I kind of want to talk about how to run PTA programs first. Anita, I sometimes get going because I don't have faces to look at. So if you have questions, feel free to jump in and wave me down, okay? All right, so programs, fun and free. First of all, PTA programs are the thing that make you think of your PTA. Like if you thought, what does PTA mean, or what is PTA? You're probably thinking about a PTA program or two. It's what PTA does for your community. We're talking about family engagement, parent education, reflections or other arts-related events, health, advocacy, education-focused events like STEAM nights, after-school enrichment, so much more. Whatever your PTA decides to do, that is what a PTA program is. I like to focus on the KISS method when I'm planning my PTA programs. I like to keep it super simple. So the first thing I do to keep my plan simple is I like to set goals. I like to start with a goal brainstorming session with your PTA board. You want to make sure the whole PTA board is on the same page and that you're pulling in the same direction. If everybody has the same idea for what the purpose for PTA is, it'll be a lot easier to get everybody on the same page for programs. So set your goals. And then I want you to keep in mind that we need to plan our year realistically. I have seen at my own school PTA programs that are a little more ambitious than we had the volunteers to support, or we had the finances to support. And the events worked out, but it was stressful. So I like to keep it simple, plan the year realistically, don't overload your calendar, make sure it fits in your budget comfortably, and make sure it's something that you can do and have fun with. The third tip is to build a good team. Building a good team is so important. You want to make sure that you have people that you enjoy spending time with, but also it's good to find people that have a variety of skills. I always like to talk about my friend Angie at this point. Angie is phenomenal. Wherever Angie is, it's a party. She makes the most boring, awful jobs seem so cool and fun, and you want to do them with her. Angie is awesome at planning parties. She makes it all magical. You walk into the dance and it feels like you transported yourself into a fairyland. She's perfect for that kind of a job. Angie was in charge of selling tickets though one year, and I am not even joking you, she just forgot where she put like 30 tickets. It was a problem. So we plan our team accordingly now. Angie makes everything magical, but I keep track of the numbers and the tickets and the spreadsheets because that's what I'm really good at. So build a good team. Make sure you're pulling in people who have great skill sets, want to be there, and are excited to help. The fourth thing I want you to do is plan ahead. Programs that are planned and put together at the last minute feel planned and put together at the last minute. So plan ahead. Break off that big job into little bits and work on the flyers at one time, or put together your spreadsheets ahead of time so that you have sign-up sheets for people to use. Do whatever you can ahead of time, a little bit at a time, so it doesn't feel so overwhelming. Work it into your schedule. But if you don't plan ahead, you have to do it all at the last minute and you feel stressed out. So plan ahead. And then the last thing, I want you to keep in mind that it's important to know what details are important and what can be flexible. Sometimes in anything in our lives, I think it's easy to get bogged down with the thing that you've been working on, and it feels like that's the most important thing. But I will tell you right now, it almost never really matters what color the tablecloths are. Nobody's going to remember that detail. But if you forget to have books at the family reading night, that's a big deal. So know which details are important. Make sure you have those important details taken care of, and be ready to be flexible with the stuff that's not important. All right, so planning the program year. You've kind of got a general idea of how you're going to go into your program year. You have a feeling for who you might get on your team. You're getting excited about a few ideas. Let's start by brainstorming. First of all, prioritize the programs that work towards your goals. If your goal is for the PTA to support academic success, make sure that you're putting a priority on those events like family reading night or STEAM nights, whatever your PTA is going to use to help facilitate that goal. The second thing, keep your traditional programs, because if you get rid of the things that everybody is connected to and loves, and like at my school, if you take away their Halloween carnival, they're gonna lose their minds. You are gonna be getting nasty emails all day long. So, keep some of those traditions that make your school unique, that help to build your community, but consider trying some new things. When I plan a school year of activities for my PTA, I try to do about a 50-50 split. Half of the year is things that we've done before, because my school is very traditional. We love some of our traditions. So we hang on to those traditions, but I tried to squeeze a few new things in. And I will tell you, it's amazing how if you squeeze new activities in, you might find new favorite traditions. PJ Bingo became something that our school loved after we tried it once. So feel free to try new ideas. You want to make sure that you determine how full you want your calendar to be also. Like I said, keep your plan realistic. So look at your calendar. You have about 9 months for a school year. If you only have 5 dedicated volunteers for your PTA, you probably don't want to have a big family night every week. You're going to burn out your volunteers. You might agree as a group that you can all help do one big event every month or once a quarter, but get an idea of how full your calendar can be and how much your PTA can support. This also, along with the lines of deciding how full you want your calendar to be realistic. If you have an operating budget of $2,000, you are probably not going to be able to rent a whole carnival to come in for Halloween, a big professional carnival with rides and all kinds of craziness. So keep it realistic. Decide what is within your means financially and as far as volunteers and time and space. Get an idea of being realistic. And then the last thing, and I really think this is a very important thing, especially when it comes to building up future leaders and the future of your PTA, I want you to consider all the ideas brought to the table. I am a very outgoing person. I will be happy to come to a brainstorming session. I will probably already have a list of ideas that I'm ready to talk about. But one of my strongest volunteers is a much quieter, much more reserved person. She will work all day long, but she's not likely to speak up. But when she does speak up, I need to make sure to give her space to talk. So if she came with an idea for an event she really wants to do, I know that she really put thought and care into it, and we should at least talk about the idea and whether or not it can be supported. So consider all the ideas, especially from your quiet people and the people that are new to your group. We want to make sure they feel included and they feel like they have a voice at the table. Anita, do we have any questions? I think I saw a hand raised. I'm sorry, that's okay. We'll come back to it if you find any questions.
If you have a question, put it in the chat and then we'll go from there.
Into the
Okay?
Q&A, into the Q&A, because that's
Oh,
where
into
they
the
can.
Q&A.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Into the Q&A.
All right. So once you have some brainstormed ideas and you have an idea of all the programs you want to do for the year, and you have a game planned, right? Now it's time to start putting your calendar together. I want you to do a few things before you just slap together a calendar. You want to make sure you look at community calendars like the school calendar, sports calendars, holidays. My first year in, we didn't look at the calendar for our, let's see, no, it was the town. We had a town holiday, the big town carnival. We forgot to look at the calendar and see when they were doing the parade, and we accidentally scheduled our 5K for the same time as the town parade. Nobody was coming to our 5K. Everybody was going to the parade. So look at your community calendars, make sure you take into event school board meetings, ELAC meetings, count all those things in before you nail down a day. You might not find a day that's completely clear, but you want to find a time when you can get a lot of people that would be available. Make a rough budget to see if it's cost effective. Kind of pencil in some numbers and see, can we do this event? Do we have the funds? What could we do to make it happen? I think it's also very important that you float ideas past your principal. It's important to remember, PTA is a guest on campus. We don't own the school campus. We are a guest there. So go to your principal and say, this is our calendar of events. This is what we would like to do. Do you see any problems? Do you have any input? It might be that your principal knows about the ELAC event that's coming up and that would conflict and they might be able to help you work that through. Or you might have your principal say, oh, we tried the carnival at our school 2 years ago and it caused a big problem. So if you're gonna do it, at least keep the cotton candy machine outside or whatever their stipulations are. Make sure you talk to your administration before you nail down that calendar for sure. Give them a chance to proofread it. And then the last thing I want you to do is check your insurance guide or call our insurance broker, AIM, to ensure that PTA activities are covered by insurance. It might be that you want to have a bounce house and you want to make sure that that's okay. So call AIM and just say, we're talking about having a bounce house. Is there anything we need to know? They may tell you, make sure you put it on the grass. You're going to want to stake it down. You can have the bounce house and it'll be covered by insurance, just not on the cement. So things like that might be worth taking into consideration before you finalize your event plan. AIM is very helpful. They are based out of Texas and they offer support 24/7. And I believe they offer that in English and Spanish. I don't know that any other languages are offered in customer support yet, but AIM is very helpful and they are wonderful to work with. All right. And then your last thing you're gonna do is now that you have all of these things approved and you've kind of proofread everything, go ahead and put your calendar together. Start by putting on your PTA calendar all of your board meetings, all of your association meetings. I like to include my school board meetings in there because our PTA tries to encourage parents to go to school board meetings. So anything that's super important, put those on your calendar. Then you start to fill in your family nights. And then lastly, put in your fundraisers. Make sure that all of these things work together. I like to make sure that we don't have 4 events in 1 month and then a drought for 2 months. I kind of try to space it out nicely. Keep it manageable. Keep it to an amount that works for your PTA. You can see on this slide that I mentioned the 3-to-1 guideline. This guideline helps to keep your PTA as a nonprofit. It helps to make sure that you are adequately giving back to your community and not constantly raising funds. The last thing I really want you to feel like your PTA has to do is be a piggy bank. We want to make sure PTA is building community, offering educational experiences, facilitating the needs of our school, but not necessarily constantly fundraising and constantly asking parents and community members to donate. So every time you do one fundraiser, plan to do at least 3 give backs. The give backs might be family fun nights. It might be the teacher fund line item on your budget. It could be showing up at the school to support an assembly, paying to support an assembly, whatever thing that your PTA is giving to the school community, that's a give back, okay? This isn't a hard and fast rule that I'm gonna come and knock on your door and say, hey, I noticed you haven't done 3 give backs for every fundraiser. This is a guideline to help you keep your PTA, first of all, as a nonprofit status, and then also just to help keep your PTA in good standing with your community. You want people to be happy to see you. It's easier to be happy to see somebody that's giving you something and providing an experience for you. All right. Now that we've talked through a little bit about what I do to plan my programs year, I want to talk a little bit about taking care of business. These things are actually very important. The taking care of business section here is what we need you to do to make sure that your events and your finances are covered by insurance. You want to make sure all of these T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, because this will protect you as a volunteer. It'll protect your PTA, and it'll keep you guys moving forward without any glitches. So here are the things I need you to do. First of all, vote to approve your proposed programs after you and your board or your committee have put together a program list. Vote to have that approved, and you need to have that in your minutes that that proposed program list is approved. You're going to vote to approve your budget needs, which should be in your annual budget. Once you have your program list and your budget approved, those events can happen, but in order to get the money, in order to be reimbursed as you purchase things, you need to vote to release funds for programs as needed. I normally like to vote for the release of funds about 2 or 3 months ahead of time so that the committee can use those funds to prepare for the event. Okay? And you can have a chairman stay up and I move to release the funds for the Halloween carnival. And as long as the money is there and the association votes in favor of that, then you are free to start using those funds. The president can appoint a committee chairman for each program at any time. And then they can also appoint committee members to help the chairman at any time. I think the sooner you do that, the better, because that allows your volunteers time to start getting things done. And then once you've appointed a committee, let the committee do the work. You can see here, Janet is my neighbor, actually 2 doors down, and she did this to me. She really cared about the blue tablecloths. And I'm telling you, I told her, Janet, if you care about the blue tablecloths, join the committee. It's important to her. I just wanted her to join the committee, because if you aren't helping, I don't think it's fair to nitpick what other people are doing. So let the committee get the work done. Once you hold your event, the committee has done a wonderful job. The committee chairman should make sure to debrief with the whole committee, talk about what went well, what would you do differently, would you do the event again? I will show you in just a slide or two, there's a form to help you walk through debriefing and talking about your successes and things that you might tweak. And then finally, you need to report to your association about the event. Tell them how many people attended, what did you do, tell them how much money you spent, how much money came in, tell them we would love to do this again next year. The committee really hopes you do it again next year. But again, I want you to make sure, I'm going to give you a couple of tools here to help make that easy. So first of all, in the California State PTA Toolkit, you will find 2 documents. The first one is the event planning worksheet, and you should have one of these for every event. If you use this and fill this in, by the time you have all of the details filled into this, you're probably just about done planning your event. It helps you keep track of who is helping, what they are doing, gives you phone numbers. Down on the bottom of the first side, you'll see there's a checklist of things. Make sure it's okay with your insurance. Make sure that you have staff input. It gives you all of the things you need to do to make sure that your event's going to run well.
Hey, Abby,
Yes.
excuse me. We've got a lot of questions about virtual programs.
Yes.
So we could maybe jump.
Do you want, okay, so.
Finish this and then maybe.
Yeah, so a lot of the next half of this is all about
Perfect.
things that you can do virtually or things that you can do as a unit. So I
Thank
do
you.
have some virtual program ideas. So yeah, we're almost done with this, I promise. Okay, the other thing you can use is your committee report. And this is especially great during this COVID time because you can fill these in and then email a picture of it to your secretary to print off and just put in her notes. The committee report is the debrief. If you go through this with your committee, it's a great way to wrap up all the details and have it ready to present to your association. Both of those forms are available on the California State PTA Toolkit. There's a link on each of these slides, and I believe Cindy is going to be emailing out a PDF of this so that if you want any of the links, you'll be able to just click on the link and follow it. All right. PTA, just make sure you keep in mind we're going to roll with things. PTA stands for plot twist and action. Sometimes things happen, just got to go with it. All right. I'm going to go through this section a little bit quicker so that we can get to some of the actual programs. As you're planning PTA programs, here are some standards that we used to help us guide what events we're going to pull in. We want to make sure that all PTA events work towards at least one of these standards if we can. So first standard is welcoming all families. On the right-hand side of this screen, I give a couple of ideas of things that you can do to help welcome families, help different families, new families feel like they are part of the community. For the sake of time, I'm going to leave that as that, and you all will get these slides at a later time. You want to make sure you're communicating effectively. I think this is especially important as children are not in classrooms. We're not all going on campus. Make sure you're communicating in a way that helps people know what you're saying. If you are tweeting, but all of your family or all your parents are on Facebook and not on Twitter, you haven't communicated with your families. You need to communicate in a way that they will get the information. So emails, your school app, if you have an app that you communicate through, Twitter, social media like Facebook or Instagram. If you have flyers or if you want to put up a sign at the pickup drop-off place where students are dropping off assignments, make sure you're communicating in a variety of ways to get everybody. I'm going to keep moving. Support student success. PTAs, that's our third standard, is supporting student success. This might be having somebody explain how test scores work, or having a principal explain academic goals. At my kids' school, this looks like a school counselor doing a weekly event with parents to talk about helping our children through a socially distanced environment and how we can help support their academic goals. So we are working alongside, the PTA is facilitating an event with staff, and we're working alongside staff to make sure that we pull families in and support our students together. You can look at the fourth standard here, which is speaking up for all children. This is a very strong PTA leg. A PTA program is not necessarily something, it's not always something where we are hanging out with kids, doing things where kids are building community. Sometimes PTA programs are when we advocate at school board meetings or send letters and postcards to our state legislators. PTA could be advocating for a better crosswalk or for computers in everybody's hands. PTA is about advocating for our students to have what they need. So right now, this is something I know a lot of us are already involved in. My school board has had 100+ people at their meetings lately, which is a new thing. But as we are going through this crisis, parents are advocating. PTA can help facilitate that and can help advise parents if they want any help with advocacy training. I know that Anita would probably be glad to help any of your units that would love some help with advocacy. Anita's a great advocate. All right, so the fifth standard is shared power. Parents are welcome to be part of the LCAP process, helping make decisions on campus, the site council meetings. Parents are welcome to be a part of these teams to help make decisions about our schools. So PTA supports and encourages families to share in the power and decision making on your campus. And finally, community collaboration. We want to make sure that PTA is facilitating community collaboration and helping pull community groups in to support student success. You may have already seen this in, if your PTA has helped collect donations for student supplies, or for helping to develop a community type of feeling.
I'm on video, so you want me to cover this?
On campus. So PTA is about building up your community, pulling in outside community groups to help support your students. All right, so here we are. We're going to talk about PTA programs, and I will tell you a good deal of these, if they are not available online, right, like as a distance learning event or a distance program, I think a lot of these are easily adapted to do so. So first of all, School Smarts. This is a plug for a California PTA program. It is a paid program, so your school can pay, or your school board can choose to pay for this through LCAP funds, or your PTA could bring it in, or your principal can use some of their funds to bring this in. It is paid, but 40 parents from your site come together over the course of 8 weeks to talk about ways to improve their school and to develop a better understanding of how parents can be involved on campus. School Smarts has been shown to build up a diverse and meaningful parent involvement group. So I highly recommend, if you haven't heard of School Smarts, that you explore that a little bit more. There's a link at the bottom of this slide, which will be available to you later. This is also, if you just go to California PTA or capta.org, you'll be able to find School Smarts. Ed 100 is a group that actually we work alongside of. A lot of PTA volunteers help write articles and help prepare information for Ed 100. Ed 100 is a group that, or is an organization that developed a curriculum so parents can go online and watch short videos, approximately 5 minutes. And as parents are learning and enjoying Ed 100 programming, they are also contributing to an, oh gosh, how do they do it? Ed 100 takes as you watch Ed 100 videos, you get credit for how many videos you've watched, and Ed 100 tracks how many parents at a school are participating and learning. And then they do, I believe they give away funds to different PTA groups or different school groups based on how many people have been participating. So Ed 100 is an amazing organization. I know a lot of our parents have learned a lot at my school, have learned a lot about California education system just by watching Ed 100, and it gives them a little bit more power and helps them understand how they can be involved. That's free, and it's online, and it's easy. You can do it at any time. National PTA runs Schools of Excellence. I actually am not 100% how they're doing that this year. I just know that it's through National PTA, so I wanted to throw it out there for you. You can register online. They give you a to-do list, and as you work through the list of things to do through the year, you'll see an improvement in your PTA. And once you've done everything on that list, you will have earned the School of Excellence Award. It's actually a very influential program. One of our schools in my neighborhood ran this 2 years ago, and they went from 20 members in their PTA to 200 members in their PTA. And now they have a full board, and they are very active, and they are one of our strongest units. So I highly recommend that you check out Schools of Excellence. Honorary Service Awards is a program run through the California State PTA. As you purchase honorary service awards to recognize your volunteers for the work they've done, the funds from that are used to support the California State PTA scholarships and grants. So I recommend that you check out the scholarships or the honorary service awards and try to recognize your volunteers for the work that they're doing. A lot of times PTA work is exhausting and not always noticed. So it's awesome. It's a wonderful way to appreciate the people who have given so much to your community. PTA grants. And this is something that you may, I know you're all here for the digital programs, but I want you to notice the PTA grants. I believe the deadline is October 15th, and PTA offers grants for parent education, cultural arts, outreach translation, and healthy lifestyle programs. So your PTA unit can apply for a grant to support a program that fits into one of these categories. For more information, go to that link at the bottom of the site. It's at capta.org. And
Abby,
yes,
the grants are due October 1st.
October 1st. I'm so sorry. That must have changed since I put this together. I apologize. October 1st. So that's coming up soon. It's October 1st. And since we've talked about planning ahead, I know you all are going to get this done this week or next week, right? These are grants that would help you with programs even through distance learning, especially when it comes to outreach and translation, or cultural art, actually all of these things. You can apply to programs even if you're doing them distance learning or distance programs. I would recommend applying for these. PTA scholarships will also have the due date of the 1st, is that correct? Does anybody know? I believe the scholarships are due the same time as the grants. Yes, Reamer's saying yes. Okay, so there are PTA scholarships available for continuing education. This means for school nurses, teachers and counselors, or PTA volunteers. And then we also have graduating seniors scholarships. And you can see one is for kids going.
Abby, you're muted. There you
I didn't
go.
hit the mute button. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I don't know
Hey,
how I muted myself. Can you see
Abby,
my hands are like directing traffic?
the seniors in high school, their scholarships aren't due until January.
Okay.
January.
Okay. So I'm so sorry. These dates, I believed them to be true when I put them in there. I'm so sorry. I'll update those. So then the volunteer service is for high school seniors who have been volunteering. Kids can apply, and we love to see kids' applications for those. Okay. Reflections is an incredible program that you can run right now for your kids, even through distance learning. Reflections is an art program, or an art appreciation program. We like to celebrate our students as they express themselves through one of 6 different categories. There's dance, video, literature, music, photography, and visual arts are the categories. Students all the way from kindergarten through high school are welcome to submit one piece of art for each of these categories. So each student is eligible to submit 6 pieces total. And they can create a piece of artwork that relates to the theme, I matter because. And that's the theme, that's it. That's all the directive we give them. We want our students to express themselves, express their creativity. We like to celebrate not only their artwork, but how they connect to that theme. I will tell you the theme, I matter because, was submitted by a student here in California. So we're so excited for I believe she was in 1st or 2nd grade when she submitted it. So she's still quite a young kid. That was 2 years ago. And so because the theme came from California, I think it's exciting to see what California does with this theme. Your PTA needs to run the Reflections program. You then you run the Reflections program through your school, and then send your top performers on up to the next level at the council, and then the council will send things on up to the district and on to state. So this is a progressive way to celebrate students from all over the state of California. You start by celebrating them at your school, celebrate them in your council, the district, and then even up to state. Like I said, I'm on the Reflections Committee, and we love to see how kids present themselves and what they're thinking. It is amazing to see the crayon drawings all the way up to the incredible professional looking pencil drawings that I've seen. The literature, I sit and read and look at things, and I am moved to tears often because our kids are beautiful and amazing. So I encourage you to look into Reflections. If you are not certain if you would like to run this program, Reflections is a whole nother presentation. You may email Lisa Snowis at reflections@capta.org and she will answer any questions you have. Or Cindy, who's your Reflections chairman?
Maria Lara is the 33rd District Reflections Chair, and I believe she is in contact with the council chairs and passing the information on to the units.
Perfect, perfect. All right, so we'll be looking for your Reflections entries. Okay, ready to run programs. A lot of these, I'm not gonna lie, guys. Most of this presentation was put together before COVID, and a lot of these are meant for being able to be in person, but you can adjust these as you need to for distance. So
Before we start, Ab, can we go to any questions Anita or Melanie have? Are there questions, Anita or Melanie?
Yes. Our principal and school district will not have any PTA volunteers on school campus due to the pandemic. Our Halloween committee was thinking of a drive-through parade at our school parking lot, but we were told we couldn't do it due to the liability. As a PTA, can we host our event at the nearest community park, or do we need permission from the principals?
So that's a really great question. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you that you should talk to your principal about whether or not they would be comfortable with helping you advertise it to hold it at another location. As far as PTA policy goes, you are welcome to hold an event off campus. That is fine. However, you are a guest on campus, and I would recommend that you make sure your principal is comfortable with what you are what you are trying to do. Your principal probably wants to help support you, but there are rules that your principal is dealing with also. So it's just a matter of finding a way to have a good, open, and candid conversation to facilitate what you want to do. Does that help?
Yeah. How will physical art reflections? Okay. How will the physical art be submitted? Will they have to take a picture, or will there be a system to safely submit physical art? How will the judging take place?
Awesome. Okay, so a lot of this has to do with how your council or your district chooses to do things, and I do not know what the 33rd district councils and districts are doing. Or district is
We will be virtual.
You will be accepting virtual. Okay, so, and that is not, I don't think that should hinder anybody, because I will tell you that once it comes up to the state level, we take a picture of the entries. And sometimes some of the things go to judges via photograph, and some of the things go via actual hard copy, but this isn't going to hinder anybody. California State PTA will be operating with the digital entries once it gets to the state level. So digital is wonderful. Also, you won't lose the artwork. You won't have to worry about tracking it down later. It's always right there.
Okay, and the other one is go over, she's afraid that they don't really understand the 3-to-1 rule.
Okay.
So what the 3 programs could be, it couldn't be a fundraiser and count that as a family engagement program.
Right.
That's what they want you to explain that a little bit.
The 3-to-1 rule, just a little bit more. Okay. So the 3-to-1 guideline, because again, it's not a rule that I'm going to come knocking on your door for, and I don't think Cindy is either. We're not knocking on your door and counting every unit's fundraisers versus givebacks. We're not doing that. We're trying to help give you a guideline to help you make sure that you are giving to your community in relation, in proportion to how many fundraisers you're running. So count up how many fundraisers you're doing. You're probably not going to be doing as many as you feel like you're doing. I was at a high functioning unit. We did probably $200,000 or $300,000 of fundraising every year. $200,000 or $300,000. Okay, we had a big budget. Even so, we were only operating about 5 actual fundraisers. Then you count how many programs you're doing. If you're offering a family engagement event, if you are hosting like an issue discussion where you have the principal come in and talk about the LCAP, or you're having a teacher panel, or if you're doing something that engages your community. If you have a PTA thing where you put on your PTA hat and you're out working with people in the name of PTA, that's a give back program. So anything that you're engaging the kids, anything where you're engaging the parents. But I also consider give backs on my line items in my budget, because my PTA fundraised money in order to give teachers funds to help with school supplies or decorating their classrooms or whatever they needed. That was a give back. Or if your PTA is helping your school get a recess playground area, that's a huge give back. Or if you are giving funds to your school library and you're buying books for the library, that's a give back. So anything that's benefiting your community or an event that you're holding is a give back. Does that feel like I've clarified it? Yeah?
Yes, that's all the questions that I have.
Okay, perfect. All right, so ready to run programs. These are programs that have been like a program in a box. If you said, I just want to hit print and have a checklist, this is what we've got for you. So we start with healthy hydration. We have a family tasting night, a family reading experience, a multicultural fair, healthy lifestyles, healthy habits, a creative career fair. Now, again, a lot of these are meant to be done in person. It's hard to do a family tasting night. The idea on that one is you you cook a dish based on where your family came from, and then everybody comes together and you do a taste test around the world kind of a situation. That might be hard to do online, although you might find it fun to do a family tasting month where you offer, like, families could submit a recipe and everybody can try cooking that recipe. So you see there's ways to twist it so that it can be distance, even if it's not originally a distance event, okay? The same thing with the creative career fair. It may be that you have, like my school, we have parents that work at Disney, and we have parents that work at Pixar, and we have parents that work for Lucasfilm or for video game makers. The creative career fair is meant to help exhibit jobs that are available that are artistic or creative. So you might ask those parents if they would do a quick 2-minute video on what they do for their job. And you could do that as a social media post, or you could send that out as a check this out event. So you could find ways to work around what these are. Some more events. We have Connecting Families, Connect for Respect, and Smart Talk and the Internet Awesome, and Digital Families. Those 5 events are very awesome for helping develop digital citizens. So if you're looking at helping your kid be more responsible on the internet, because our kids are all on the internet mine are on for 4 hours a day. These are programs that might help you and your children start to have conversations about how to be a good digital citizen. So those 5 would be incredible for all ages right now. The Family Math Night and the Science Festival, while those are a little bit harder to do also without being in person, I would imagine that you can find a way to develop games using things that are found around the house to play with math or play with science. So those, I will just leave those up there for you. These are all on the slideshow that Cindy's going to be emailing out to you. Check them out. If nothing else, these can kind of get your brain going on some ideas and thinking of ways to turn them into digital events, okay? All right, here is my little mother lode of program ideas for during distance learning. This is what I told you, I'm the kind of girl that if you tell me we're gonna brainstorm, I will come with a list of ideas already. This is what I did in 20 minutes. I sat down and just thought through, what could I do digitally? the fun thing about some of these ideas is you can either have everybody meet and do something via Zoom, or you could submit challenges similar to like a TikTok challenge. The virtual dance party is the one that actually my daughter's 6th grade teacher sent out back in May. We missed all of 6th grade camp. My daughter was in 6th grade. 6th grade camp was in May. We totally missed it, and it was awful. So one of the things that they did was they had little clubs where they would submit challenges, and then if the kid did the challenge, they made it into the club. So this teacher sent out a dance challenge, and he and his kid danced a dance, and he sent the video, and the kids had to copy the dance with their parents. I'm not a dancer, people. My daughter and I spent 4 hours working on a 30-second dance, but I will tell you what, I will never forget those 4 hours and how much we laughed and how silly we looked as we fell over on the ground in our driveway listening to music, but we had an amazing time.
Okay.
We found a way to make 6th grade camp, whatever, have fun. And we had, so if PTA can put out challenges that gets a few of your families to engage like that, that is PTA doing its job and building community. I would encourage you to send out challenges and have families meet the challenge together and submit a video of that, and then send that out to help the kids connect with their friends. Let them cheer for their friends as they do something silly with their parents.
Abby, I have two suggestions that have come through.
Okay.
One of the local units did a noodle nibble night where they chose a day and everyone made a pasta dish at home and they shared photos enjoying the dish on your school's social media. Number one. Number two, Capta's Discover Science is going to release a digital science night soon. So you should be able to pick that up on the capta.org website.
Awesome. And actually that Discover Science is a really great idea. This was put together before all of the library, the resource library became available on the California website. If you have not yet checked it out, go to capta.org and look for the resource library. There are tons of ideas for STEAM challenges or STEAM activities that you could share with your families and use for a digital challenge, or just even to share information with your school to get them doing activities. So that's awesome. I love the noodle day idea. I like to cook, and so any idea that gets me cooking with my kids is so much fun. I love that noodle idea. Does anybody else have more ideas? We would love to hear. These are my ideas. If you have ideas to share, I would love to have that shared with us. You can share it with me so I can maybe steal some of those ideas, but also everybody else wants to hear from it. It's what we do with PTA. We hear ideas and then we build on them. So let's hear your ideas if anybody has any. Anything?
Yeah, Heather has offered some more information to us. Capta's about to release science videos at capta.org so that families could do a science night challenge.
Perfect.
And then somebody asked, does anyone have ideas on how to do a virtual movie night?
A virtual movie night. I believe, I'm gonna check into it. If whoever asked that wants to send me their email address, because I actually had some information about how to do like a group video, like you could watch on Netflix and everybody could have a passcode and it would start for everybody at the same time.
Right now, yeah, Netflix does that, so.
Yeah. So I would check into that. And if you want to send me your contact information, I'll share it with you when I find the stuff.
Why don't you share it with Cindy, and then Cindy can push it out to everybody.
Yeah.
Perfect. You know what? I'm not 100% how this could work. Our insurance, will insurance allow us to do like a drive-in theater?
I don't know, but it's also careful because you got to check with the license fees.
Yeah.
Some of the studios have real strong license fee. So let's check everything out first. Everybody double check and triple check with the insurance and get it in writing.
Well, and when
Yeah.
you call your insurance, call the insurance company about things like that. The insurance company will ask if you got all that documentation.
Someone posted that Cirque du Soleil did it for them. They gave them permission to do a Zoom night. So there's all kinds of ways to do that. But and I think when she said drive-in movie theater, she meant watching it at home.
Totally.
Virtual. Yeah, not a drive-in. So
Yeah, no.
We have a couple of cool ideas that have come in through the Q&A.
Yeah.
Kristen mentions that right before Halloween, they're planning on doing an online book fair. And while it's going on, they're going to encourage everybody to dress up as your favorite book character. And then at Beverly Hills High School, they've created a fireside chat. So once a month where parents Zoom in to meet different teachers. They'll feature 4 or 5 different teachers or staff at a time, because parents want to get to know teachers and staff, especially with not being on campus.
That's awesome.
A really great idea. We're trying to do a Zumba night and an art class via Zoom for our students with instructors.
Nice.
Somebody is working on hosting a virtual game night for the students. That might also be Beverly Hills High. Virtual bingo.
give them the website.
Which is at bingomaker.com/web-app.
I know I've participated in scavenger hunts also, which I thought was absolutely hilarious to see what everybody came up with.
My kids love those
Yes.
when the teachers do them. Like
Oh,
they're running all over the house looking for something like a foot long and pink. That
Right?
would happen for us this week, for instance.
Yep. So
I am new to this. Is there an easy way to post this bingo link to everybody? Oh, wait. Yes. I've answered my own question. I apologize.
you're on it.
I'll figure it out.
All right. Any more ideas coming through?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Heather mentioned watch out for bingo. You were told you're not allowed to do that online in your council.
Hmm.
That's,
Okay.
I'm
Well,
not
as long
sure.
as you're not actually collecting money,
Money.
Yeah.
You
and
can do it.
gambling. If you're doing it for prizes that you give out as PTA that you can send virtually.
Maybe if you're gonna look for prizes for bingo, you could talk to teachers and see if they could do like a homework pass prize or something along those lines, or like a show and tell during Zoom. Like maybe we could find ways to do. Okay.
I've shared the link, but
Check
stay
with
out-
your, I would check with your city about bingo because sometimes when PTAs would run bingo games or whatever, you had to have a license or clearance from your city council. So check with your city on that. There's a lunch doodles with Mo Willems. Join Kennedy Center Education Artist in Residence at home for a live daily doodle lesson at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. So we'll try to get all some of these ideas up.
We'll put them up on our website.
Right.
I'm sorry, not to beleaguer this, but so the question with bingo is that it can be considered a gambling event.
Yeah.
That's normally not a problem, and if you don't take in money, but it does depend on your city. So you do need to call. I called the police department in my city, and they were able to help me out.
Right.
And tell me what I needed to do. It wasn't for my city and what we were doing. It was an easy call and an easy fix to take care of it, but you want to make sure you do check with that.
Right. You just have to check with your city.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey guys, yeah, you need to put them in the Q&A, not the chat. You're not getting them.
A big buddy, little buddy program.
You know,
To do like a postcard back, like a pen pal situation.
There's a question about school pictures. Their schools are doing them. Can they have lights that take student pictures at a park? No, you got to clear all that with your school
School
district.
Yeah.
Every school district has different rules and, yeah, no. The LA Music Center until the end of the month does cultural assemblies. You could check on those.
Mhm. I will tell you, there are a lot of ideas that are on the PTA resource library.
Right.
There are a lot of ideas of tours and things that, or things that you can do that are really awesome online. I think you guys are coming up with some really fun ideas. Like I said, some of these, you just have to come up with what you would have normally done and tweak some things or think of ways to have fun. And I think you guys are awesome. You guys are already doing that.
Like Abby, you have mentioned the bedtime story via social media. We've discussed with our principal, trying to do some story times, and she's willing to read stories over Zoom so we can target certain age groups. I mean, and I think that could be fun. Maybe even try to get our superintendent to do some for more of a district-wide thing. So
yeah,
something we're definitely looking into, just as a fun thing to do.
My school district does it on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock, and it is wonderful. And it's kind of fun. People post pictures of their kids in their pajamas with their teddy bears, and they share them with the school community. And it makes the kids feel like they're there with nothing feels like being there with your friends, but oh, look, there's Riley. And they get excited, and it's fun.
That's awesome.
All right. Any other questions or any other ideas? All right, so that is genuinely, that's the end of my presentation. I'm going to leave this up so that you can keep looking at ideas, and if you're writing things down. Cindy has my presentation, and it will come out with all the hyperlinks, so you can just click on the links and it'll take you straight to them for more information. I am also I sent out to Cindy a handout that I would normally have given you if I was there in person, and it's called 101 PTA Ideas. Some of them might not be good for right now, but they might be something to think about next year, because we're totally going to be back at school next year, or even in this year. But whenever we get back on campus, there are some ideas to get you started. So 101 PTA ideas, and I will tell you, I want to give credit where credit is due. I gleaned a lot of I made it, but I gleaned a lot of the information from 33rd's very own Jeff Price and Michael Morgan. So thank you, 33rd, for helping me come up with 101 ideas for my use, and I'm sharing back some more of what I found.
Abby, in the Q&A,
yeah.
Heather Ippolito, who is the VP of Communications for California State PTA, has put in a link for virtual field trips at capta.org. So
perfect.
Check that out.
Perfect.
I know, I saw it in there.
That was in the, I think it was only
Oh, it was in the
chat or
Q&A.
the Q&As.
It was in the Q&A. I've just asked her to send it to the panelists through chat so that I can turn around and send it back out to everybody, all attendees.
Okay, well, it was in the QA. It seems to have disappeared, but anyway.
Yes.
Okay, you got it. So
that's my fault.
No, okay, there's all kinds of ideas up there, and Melanie will send all that stuff out.
So
Abby,
again, whatever you do,
were great. Thank you.
Whatever you do, I just want to make sure you know that you need to make sure you're covered for insurance in case something goes wrong at an event or through an event, or in case there's something that happens funky with money. Not that any of us plan for those to happen, but in order to take care of you and your PTA, make sure you use those checklists and the tools that I gave you for preparing your programs. It's a lot of fun to come up with the ideas, but we want to make sure we take care of the details too.
There's a couple of people that really want clarification on drive-in movie nights, on whether or not they're allowed.
Let me, drive-in movies, you'll have to check with your school district, but right now in LA County, you can have groups. And you can't take the responsibility of making sure that everybody stays apart, not together. And we're all doing virtual schools. This is not the time to be doing a drive-in movie. It just doesn't make any sense at all. And so when you're in LA County, you should not be doing something like that. If somebody gets sick, and then we'll never get back to school being in class. So it is
And I would
not a
like
good
to
idea in any
apologize for
sense
bringing
of
that
the way.
up.
That's
In
okay.
County
I know
County,
what you meant. You meant a virtual movie.
Totally.
This is just not the right thing to be doing right now.
Yeah. All right. Any other ideas? I'm not seeing anything new come in.
Somebody had mentioned having a virtual, like a flat Stanley that went around virtually that you had your kids take pictures with, whether it's your school mascot or something like that.
That would be
Even
fun.
at a more of a high school level, perhaps spirit wear type, school spirit contest, those types of things that I saw in the chat.
Yeah.
There are some online options that are providing virtual field trips for a cost. I don't know if anybody's had any experience with them yet. I'm starting to look at those my own self to see if they're at all valuable. They're supposed to be curriculum supplements by grade level, because I know a lot of our PTAs like to fund field trips if we could actually do it. So if anyone knows of any good virtual field trips companies that exist, be sure to share them, please.
All right. I like the flat Stanley idea, especially at the elementary level.
What is a flat Stanley, Nick?
I'm sorry, what?
What is a flat Stanley? She's asking. Flat Stanley, you want to explain?
No, you do it. Go for it.
Well,
It's
he
fun.
used to be a little man that would get mailed. You could mail it across the country. My niece sent it to me from New York City. It usually is a classroom project. You mail it to someone who will take a picture of what it looks like in California, doing things that are California or stuff you would do with your family, and then you mail it back and you write a report based on, you get a letter back that says Flat Stanley likes to surf in LA, or Flat Stanley eats pizza on Friday nights with my family, that type of thing. But instead of using the mail, you can use, virtually emailing it with photos.
Yeah. And it goes with a book. There's a book that was written about Flat Stanley.
Right.
I'm trying to find the author's name. Jeff Brown was the author. So it's really cute. I did it like Raymer. I took a picture of Flat Stanley next to the Golden Gate Bridge and then sent it back to my niece in Minnesota. It was fun. I know my town, we have a lot of people that love to do painted rocks and hide painted rocks along like a walking path or wherever people might be out exercising. So it might be fun to, I don't know if a PTA volunteer wants to hide some along walking paths where kids are or whatever, that might be fun. Take a picture of yourself with the rock when you find it.
Somebody put in the Q&A, or in the chat, it should have been in the Q&A, is fieldtripzoom.com. You might want to check that out. So,
Raymer, you want to share your screen while we're still chatting?
I'm going to attempt. Here we go. We have a few more events coming up on September 15th. All of these are free of charge. Feel free to share it with all of your units, councils, districts, anyone who you think would find it valuable. Supporting your student during distance learning, we have 2 experts from our school district in Redondo Beach that'll be sharing some tips for parents to help support your students. Strategies for stress and anxiety, September 29th. Creative connections on managing grief, loss, and separation. We're also going to host a conversation with high school parents. Strategies on the college admissions process. Conversations about equity, and hopefully a mindfulness workshop. This is one of the virtual opportunities we want to give more for our parents than anything else as a resource that we can provide to anybody. free of charge. All of these, if they're with permission, will be recorded and shared on the PTA website. Let's see if I can get the next one to come up. You won't want to miss the 33rd District Legislation Conference. I know that Melanie and Anita want to speak to that right now.
Go, Mel.
On October 8th at 7 o'clock, we will be having our 33rd District Legislation Conference. This will be an opportunity to get a refresher on what PTAs should and should not be doing during election season. There can be kind of some fine lines in there. We want to make sure that we keep you, in good standing with your community. It's all about how your community respects you and things like that. So we want to take care of you. Shireen Walters, the captive director of legislation, will also give kind of an overview and all the legislation that's moving through Sacramento right now that CAPTA is supporting. She'll also talk about some of the things that will be on the ballot in November that they're supporting as well. Kevin Gordon will talk about the education budget. I mean, it's been a wild ride, to say the least. So, I mean, I've got a board member from a district and a former board member, like they know. Probably get to hear about some deferrals and things like that. Kevin Gordon is incredibly informative, an amazing speaker. If you have questions about education funding in California, he will take care of it.
Oh, I didn't mean to skip ahead for you guys.
I understand.
Let me go back. Sorry.
They can't. Yeah, I was done, I guess.
I just was trying to get my mouth back. Sorry, guys.
We're done. We've moved on. No. So if you're interested in attending this, reach out to your unit presidents or your council presidents, because they've received the flyer, and in the flyer the link at the bottom is clickable. Or jot this down. We tried to make it a little easier to deal with, but everyone is welcome to attend. So
that one's no charge as well, correct?
Correct. This is free. I'll put the link in the chat.
And then finally, we're trying to be more connected as a district, 33rd District PTA, trying to be relevant, also trying to reach people the way that they want to be reached. So we have a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook account that hopefully you're liking, sharing, and following. If you have any ideas that you want to share, if you have any specific questions, please feel free to ask us and let us know. I know we all want to get together as quickly as possible. And I love the creative ideas, but we also need to follow our safety guidelines that are out now and not open cans of worms that could potentially be dangerous. So we're figuring this all out together, I think, to figure out what programs and field trips we can still offer in a remote setting. And of course, as soon as we can be together again, how we can be at a drive-in movie or anything like that, in bits and pieces.
Okay, on that note, don't forget to like California State PTA also on social media. I just want to say thank you, Abby.
One more question, right? Do we have another question, Anita?
Online purchasing. What is everybody doing for online purchasing for Spiritware or paid events, for example? Are we allowed to get PayPal here, Square, or anything that we can link electronic purchases to our PTA bank account? Yes. We'll have I think that's a question for our financial team, not this team. And so we'll take that question and pass it on to our treasurer, Lena, and have her answer that for you. None of us are financial people, and we don't want to tell you anything that isn't what it should be. So, or you can certainly write her at 33RD treasurer. Oh no, I'm sorry, PTA 33RD treasurer at gmail.com, and she'll give you all those answers. I just want to say for my part, Abby, thank you for coming and doing this and kicking around with us. We really appreciate it, and I think everybody appreciated it. So
I
thank
am loving it, but as soon as this quarantine is over, I want to come down and do a live event with 33rd District.
Love
You
it.
got it. Anytime. As soon as we're
Anytime.
able to.
Anytime.
Just
And
up
Melanie
in
put
that
the
car.
treasurer's email in the chat for me, since I messed it up. Anybody? So I guess
Other questions?
my program's. I guess we'll just say thank you.
Thank
all
you
of you
so
for
much,
coming.
Abby.
Thank you for having
And-
me. I'll see you guys soon.
And thank you all for attending. I really hope that you got as much out of it as I have. I've gotten even more out of it than the previous 2 times I've seen it. So way to go, Abby.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Have a good night. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Perfect. Hi, guys.
Bye-bye.